All right. Let's try this again. Oh, shit. Okay. Oops. All right. Put together some of these ABS ones. And we'll just plop that together. The ABS being sticky as can be, as always. Okay, we're gonna okay. Fuck. God damn it. Now my hands are covered in glue. All right. What I got made up here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 19, 20, 24. All right. Those two go together. Okay. get the camera moved back and my arms moved out more in front of me so you guys can actually see what's going on here. And we will, oops. Oh shit. Yeah, that's why, see that, that's why you gotta be careful with ABS and this glue. Because I just had it touch together for a second. That one's no good. There we go. All right. Take this one and that one. God damn it. God damn it. That one's stuck together like that now. That's why you got to be careful with the ABS, because it'll do that like instantly. Second one. I got two of them like that now. All right. We will slowly that's probably good enough. Okay. Right. ABS. And then we will just a little dot. And yeah, see that one with this ABS, even just that little dot, like, yeah. Let's try again with one of these guys. Just a little dot. Okay, line that up. Okay, that one's still a little bit off, but better. Probably good enough. We'll do one of these ones. I wonder if, yeah, that might be the way to do it. That's a good looking bait right there. it's going. Let's see, look, I have not tried to print soft plastics using TPU. TPU is actually quite a bit stiffer than you might think. Like, it's not anywhere near as soft as a regular soft plastic bait would be. What I have done is 3D print molds for soft plastics, injection molds for soft plastics, and then make soft plastics that way using 3D printing. And you can actually find a bunch of videos on my channel about that if you wanted to. So there's that. FDM, yes. Yes, FDM. I've tried a bunch of different filaments. If you have an enclosed printer, polycarbonate, definitely the way to go. If you have a just open to the air printer, just not enclosed, PETG or raw PET. Raw PET, I think, stands up better to the heat, but it'll stick a little bit more than PETG. You can use canola oil or vegetable spray as a mold release and it'll work just fine. What does not work well at all are any kind of fiber-filled filaments. It just sticks to the carbon fiber and creates a mess. So, I missed that one up. That one's no good. That ABS, just the glue dries so fast. I do have some molds made of the high temp PLA from Polymaker. I have not tried them yet. I ran them through an annealing cycle and then never did anything with them. Theoretically, the heat deflection temperature is up there with polycarbonate, so theoretically it should work well. It's a little bit trickier to get them dimensionally right because of they will shrink and grow. They'll grow in the Z direction and shrink in the XY direction, and you have to account for that when you scale the print if you're trying to hold the dimensions. So it's not quite as simple as just a regular filament, but it is an option to try. So. And these are glow in the dark. I've never tried to use salt. I've heard of that. I've never tried it personally, so I can't speak to how well it works. Most of the printers I have now are all enclosed because I wanted to be able to print polycarbonate with them. And ironically, twist of fate, more often than not now, I've been working on these hard body lures instead of the soft plastics. And like, this is just PLA. You could print on like a regular old Ender 3, and the PLA works fine for the hard plastics. PETG looks really nice if you get like the translucent PETG. It has the rainbow translucent PETG has a really nice look to it. For these, I'll see if I could find, or no, they're all outside in my truck, so I don't have any readily available to grab and show off, but I have some videos, and those are all using, the full-length videos on my channel are all using PETG. So, I don't know how I do it, but I got 5 in a row there that are all the same half. I mean, theoretically, there should be an equal number of right and left halves in here, and I keep grabbing a certain half. Throw some of this. I'm going to try something on this one. Instead of, I'm going to hold it like this. Oh. I got super glue all over my fingertips now, and I'm losing the dexterity in my fingers, and that's why I'm fumbling all this stuff. Alright, let's try this. Try this again. Could never seem to catch anything on hard plastics, but it's probably a skill issue. Well, what are you fishing for, and what kind of fishing are you doing with them? Because that has a lot to do with whether or not to use hard plastics or soft plastics. Maybe with the ABS, that's all I need. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. That'll hold it like that. I'm just going to do it like that for now. Tack it together. Bass slow retrieve. So I assume you're either at pond or lakes then for bass. Is it really shallow and weedy where you're trying these at? Yeah, so that's really more of a soft like a Texas rig. Soft plastic would be like classic for that type of fishing. Ponds, I don't know where in the country you are, where in the world, but I'm in the Midwest, and my experience pond fishing for bass growing up was during the early parts of the year, like pre-spawn, March, April, May, before they would get really full of weeds. You could catch a lot of bass on crankbaits, square bills, slow retrieve like you said, and then when it would warm up, switch over to like soft plastics, swim jigs, football jigs, and going back to the fall when the vegetation starts dying off, they'll pick back up on the hard baits again. Definitely in the summer, more soft plastics. Like right now would be a soft plastic swim jig time of year. Have I tried ABS injection molds? I have actually. I have tried ABS for injection molds. It holds up better than PLA. Probably about the same, maybe a little bit better, but about the same as PETG. So you can definitely, if you if you got them clamped good, you can definitely get multiple pours out of an ABS mold. I've gotten 10 plus out of ABS molds before without having them warp. It depends a lot on the lure size that you're doing, because like the thicker and the larger the soft plastic bait you're doing a mold for, the more plastisol there is, the more heat there is, and that heat goes into the mold, and that's what warps it. So if you're doing a small, thin lure, you can get away with a lot more than like a big, thick-bodied soft plastic, if that makes sense. Polycarbonate's definitely my favorite go-to for the soft plastic molds, though. It's just polycarbonate can be, and like if you think ABS is tricky to print, try printing polycarbonate. So, good discussion topics, guys. I'm assuming, guys, you might be girls. Don't want to be biased. But let's be real. I mean, you're all guys if you're watching this. Any other questions about molds or lures, 3D printing in general? Carbon fiber filaments. The carbon fiber does stick to the plastisol and makes it really, really nasty to take off. Take the bait out with the fibers. You can get away with it if you spray the mold with like vegetable oil or canola oil. You can get it to release. I've never tried PPA-CF. I did try PET-CF, and I ruined a set of molds by trying it without canola oil. With canola oil, it'll work. The surface finish, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember anything odd about the surface finish. You'll definitely get like the layer lines showing up in the print or in the injection itself. And if you orient the print lines correctly, I mean, you can make it look pretty natural and just like part of the bait. So actually these are a good example of that, because if you look at the layer lines on here, that kind of looks like scales to me, you know. So like those are layer lines, but it kind of also goes with the bait. And the layer lines look worse before you do the clear coat. With the clear coat, it'll kind of smooth it out a little bit. Not enough, like, it kind of depends, but on how thick of a clear coat you get on there, but it'll smooth it out a little bit. So, try to grab some more halves here. Good questions, guys. Keep it coming. Good questions. Man. I'm struggling with all this super glue on my fingers. Go figure, right? Have I thought of doing like a silicone injection mold reinforced by FDM plastic box around to keep it together and hold shape? So I'm assuming what you're suggesting is like the area of the mold that touches the bait itself is silicone, and then it's basically shelled by 3D printing material. I've never thought of doing that with silicone, but I have thought of doing that with like a CNC'd aluminum middle piece. Like if you've seen the Carvera Air, I've been going back and forth in my head on getting one of those Carvera Air units to do. See, look at how quickly that ABS glue dries. That's some nasty stuff. But I've been thinking about getting a Carvera Air to do something similar to that, And the reason they're doing that with a CNC aluminum mold body would be like if you get the bar stock, the thinner the billet is, the cheaper it is to buy. So you can get like a 1/4 inch piece of aluminum and cut like whatever you want into the aluminum and then reinforce it with the 3D print. I think that would work well. I've never thought about doing it with silicone, but I don't see why you couldn't do it with silicone or like plaster of Paris or something like that, you know? It's a good idea, a good thought. So, couldn't you use plastic cement to glue the pieces together? I assume you're using super glue. Yeah, I am using super glue. Could probably use plastic cement, but super glue really works just fine. I mean, it sucks getting it on my fingertips, but it is body safe. Like, you can put it on cuts. People use it to put on cuts all the time, and it works. And I haven't had a problem with them like coming apart or anything when I've been fishing them. And I fish these, this is like a 2-inch lure. I fish mainly for smallmouth out of the river with them, and I use 20-pound braid on a 6-foot medium light rod, and I'll break 20-pound braid before like I pull the eyelets out of the bait or anything like that with these. So the super glue holds up well enough. Is there probably something better? Yeah. But with the super glue and then coming back over and doing a layer of UV resin clear coat, it's really not an issue. It's just kind of tricky with this ABS because it sets up so quickly with the ABS. And I'm not really sure why that is, because theoretically super glue cures with the moisture in the air. And like if I were like these ones are PLA. So if I do this with PLA, I'll show you, do the same thing with PLA here. And like it's sliding around and moving around still just fine, and I can kind of hold it, and I got more setup time with the PLA, and I'll show you what happens with the ABS here, how quick it is. So I will grab, I really like this color, so I don't want to ruin one of those. I don't really like this color, so I'll ruin one of these. And I'll just put the smallest little dot of glue there, right? And then I'll just come here and do this. And that's already, oh, I guess I could break it off, but I was trying to show it's like instant. I mean, I feel like that was still pretty instant, but you saw how fast that was with that. So what other questions you guys got? This is good. This is a good conversation. This is the most interaction I've gotten on a live stream, so this is pretty sweet, actually. What else you guys want to know about 3D printed fishing lures? And just for your guys' sake, I haven't used like a store-bought fishing lure in probably 2 years at this point. It's all been stuff that I make and design myself, so they do work. They work quite well, and um, big fan of doing it. And I think, I mean, if you're into 3D printing and you're into fishing, you should be doing it. So, also quick note while I got a good number of people on. If you are into 3D printing fishing lures at all and you want to win some of these lures, my glide bait here, my creek glider I call it, I'm going to start doing a monthly giveaway for 6 of these guys at a time. And the way you enter the giveaway, you go to my website, www.3dprintedmolds.com, and you go to the Contact Us page, and you submit a picture of a fish you caught on a lure that was made using 3D printing. It could have been a 3D printed injection mold like I was talking about earlier. It could be a 3D printed bait itself. Could be anything you could come up with, but it has to be made in a way that used 3D printing in some way. When using polycarbonate, what does your infill look like based on size of the lure? Okay, so with polycarbonate, if I got like a 3-inch long, if you go on my website and look at like the flatworm, I'll use a 5 walls with a .4 nozzle and 10% gyroid infill, and that works well with the polycarbonate. PETG ABS, I would recommend 7 walls with 10% infill. And I think if you go to my website, there's a section on my website that is called something like 3D printed mold guide or something like that. And I spell out in exactly what I recommend for the different filaments that I've tried. So I've tried quite a few. I've even tried PPS. PPS is a real pain to print. And I have not actually tried to inject any of the molds with PPS because I'm kind of scared to print molds off in it because it's so expensive. I got a spool of it. I failed a bunch of prints. I snapped the nozzle off of my Elegoo Century Carbon and had to get a replacement nozzle trying to print PPS on that. And I haven't tried to mess with it since. So, but theoretically PPS should be like the best filament, consumer grade filament out there to print molds with, theoretically, because PPS just has, it's expensive, and that's why I'm like, I don't want to ruin a whole $70 spool of this stuff trying to print a mold out. But theoretically, when you look at like the heat deflection temperature of PPS compared to like the other filaments, the PPS should be like bar none further ahead than any of the other ones. And that's really when you look at like a material data sheet, and you're looking at the properties of a material to see if how well it's going to work with an injection mold. You should look at the heat deflection temperature and the Vicat softening temperature, and the higher those numbers are, the better off you're going to be for using it to print mold materials. And that's true of even like resins and any kind of polymer. So, what else you guys got? See more people dropping in. We're up to 15 people watching at a time. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Liquid cooling for like ABS and PLA, like having cooling holes through it and sitting in like a Tupperware container of cool water. That's an interesting idea. I would need to seal the mold. I would need to seal the mold with some sort of sealant, probably super, like, I could probably dunk it in a UV resin and cure the whole thing in a UV resin. And now that I say that, I'm almost wondering if the cooling, that flow-through cooling, would even be required if you were to like brush UV resin over the whole 3D printed mold and then cure the resin. I wonder how that would stand up. That might be something to try. It's a good suggestion. You're making me think. Yeah, the water, you definitely need to be careful with the water, and plastisol really does not like water when it's liquid. I've accidentally mixed like a water-based ink or dye or something with plastisol when it was molten, and it just turns into like a mess, and you ruin the plastisol. So, and then just for your own knowledge, plastisol is actually a PVC based plastic with a ton of different additives in it to make it soft like that. And I think one of the softeners that's used is actually emulsified soybean oil, which is like a chemically treated soybean oil, and I don't know exactly how it's treated. Like, you can't just go to the store and get vegetable oil and mix it with PVC and get plastisol. Ask me how I know, because I tried it. And it doesn't work. I just ended up stinking up my basement. But anyway, what else you guys got for me tonight? Questions, keep them coming. I like answering questions about this stuff. Up to 18 people, that's pretty cool, huh? So if you go on my channel, if you're like interested in this lure that I'm making, if you go on my channel, I've got some videos of me using it. I catch a pretty darn nice smallmouth on the first one, and then a pretty darn nice catfish. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, guys, I do not know what it is. Like, the last 5 fish I've caught on this lure have all been catfish. I don't get it. Like, this is like a smallmouth lure for the rivers, and I've caught a good number of smallmouth on this lure out of the river. So don't get me wrong, the thing catches what it was made for. But then I'll take it to a lake and I try to catch crappie on it, right? Because I got to think, like, this is like a perfect size lure for crappie, and there's a lake near my house that I normally do pretty well for crappie out of, and I fish this there on the brush piles along the bank and like along this rocky causeway trying to catch crappie, and I'm catching like catfish on it, and I don't get it. Like, what, like channel cats, So actually, there's the one video, the last video I put on my channel. I designed a little bait using ChatGPT, and then I took that out fishing, and I catch 2 catfish on the ChatGPT lure designed by AI, which is wild. Like, I don't understand why catfish, because like I remember, like I did a lot of fishing growing up, right? And I remember catching catfish on lures was few and far between. And it seems like, I don't know, over the last couple of years, it seems like channel catfish have been getting more predatory, and I don't know if that's just me, or if it seems like maybe, I don't know, global warming or something is affecting the catfish and making them more predatory rather than scavengers. I don't know. Just something that I've noticed that could be entirely my perception. Look at all these things we're getting made up here, guys. We got a whole stack of them. Got a whole stack of them. Let's do some of these. Let's do some of these glow-in-the-dark PLA ones. And then I'm going to switch over to doing the line ties here in a minute. The line ties, people probably will start dropping off for, because that's pretty boring. But I'm ended up with a whole big pile of these things. So what other questions you got for me? What do you want to know about 3D printed fishing lures? Holy cow, 24 people. 24 people watching. What is going on? What is going on tonight? I'm a celebrity. Any more questions for me? There we go. I'm going to start clipping off sections of wire so I can put wire in these baits. And the wire I use is this, it's actually aluminum welding wire. Those were kind of the big ones I've come up with watching your videos. There's definitely a lot more experimentation that can be done with the FTM mold sphere. Definitely agree with that. I've been doing this over the last 2 years, where I've been just, thinking up things to try and experiment with, and what works and what doesn't work, and I've definitely spent a fair amount of money doing it, but that's alright, because this is my hobby, and that's why I do put my CAD files up on my website for a couple bucks, because, to be honest with you guys, I probably spent thousands of dollars on doing this stuff. So between all the printers and filaments and fishing equipment, and hell, my boat I got was like $4 grand. So how's that? Not that I needed the boat to 3D print fishing lures, but so. You got any questions about 3D printed hard baits maybe instead of the soft plastics? That's not engaging camera for the camera. Slide this over and just close a bunch of these off screen and think of stuff to talk about while I still have 10 people watching. So the software I use is called FreeCAD to design all this stuff. Like I do all this in FreeCAD. Here's a bait that was in FreeCAD. That's a catfish head. Come back over here. This is a jointed glide bait. I've been kind of working on there. So that's going to be a musky lure eventually. So stay tuned for that. What I'm working on there, because I do fish for stuff other than the just the little smallmouth. So and I do appreciate you guys watching the video and subscribing. That's gone. I've only got like 300 subscribers, which by big time YouTuber standards is nothing. But last year when I started doing all this, I was doing all this and I had like 50 subs. So, and I got to give a shout out to Bro Baits, who made a YouTube short on one of my printed molds. And the last time I checked that short, it was at like 13 million views, something crazy like that. And that week they posted that short, I got like 200 subscribers that week or something like that. I went from like 50 to 250. So just, which is just huge growth for a channel my size in the space of a week. And their channel actually really blew up from that too. They went from like 3,000 subs to like 11,000 subs. So they're doing. Oh, that short is how I found you. Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. Probably a lot of the people that are subscribed to me, that's how they probably found me. And that little Hellgrammite lure is probably the most detailed bait that I do. I gotta ask, have you tried that particular Hellgrammite bait? Is on my website, free to download. It's with the sample canister pack. That's on my website. So I gotta ask if you've tried downloading it and how it worked for you. Because I got a pretty comprehensive guide on how to do it. on my website, but I don't think, I don't know. I know I get a notification whenever people download it off the website, and I know a fair amount of people have downloaded it. Probably on the order of somewhere between like 20 to 50, if I had to guess, and I don't have anybody who's downloaded it and then messaged me seeking help with it. So I don't know, just curious. It's kind of odd to put something like that out there and then have people using it and not getting. Okay, you haven't tried it. But it's kind of weird to put something like that out there and not get a bunch of questions, which means maybe, maybe they tried it and it worked. My guide worked really well and they were able to just to use it based off the guide that I have posted, and maybe that's a good thing then, right? Maybe. So alright, I'll trim a couple more of these and I'll start gluing them in, because I hate just sitting here clipping these wires and talking. I feel like that's not the best viewer experience. So, alright, we'll get these bunched together. And it really is this simple. I'll clip those little wires, and then I got super glue over my fingers still, so I can't pick them up. Take them, bend them into a U just like that, and that's it. And then they're ready to be glued into the bait. One's a little long, we'll trim that. So, probably have to trim this one back too. And like this aluminum welding wire is pretty soft, but I really haven't had a problem with it like bending in the eyelets or like pulling out or breaking. And I've lost quite a few of these to trees, and it'll break the line before it'll pull or break the like I haven't reeled one in that's been missing a hook because the hook hanger pulled out, which so that tells me it's working pretty good. 25 people on. Somebody's got to have more questions for me about 3D printed fishing lures, or just fishing, life in general. It doesn't have to be about 3D printed lures. You can ask me anything you want. Doesn't mean I'll answer it, but you can ask, You could ask me what my favorite color is. You can ask me what shoe size I wear. What do you want to know? What do you want to know about me? You could tell me jokes. Kind of surprised 23 people want to sit here and watch me bend wire. And now we're down to 15. So nobody's got even a joke for me they want to tell in the chat, huh? What's my credit card number in the last 4 digits? That's a joke, all right. Joke's on you. I've got Life Alert or whatever that commercial is where the guy LifeLock, I think it is, where he puts his social on the side of a semi truck and drives it around San Francisco or something like that. Nice try there. But I already gave my credit card and social security number to a Nigerian prince who's going to give me a bunch of money one day. Just you wait. Just you wait. So chat, what is your favorite fish? Let's see if we can get some consensus going in the chat. What is everybody's favorite fish? Could be your favorite fish to fish for, your favorite one to look at in the aquarium. Maybe you've got it in your fish tank at your house. Maybe you like to look it up and read the Wikipedia page about it just to learn, you know, what's your favorite fish? My favorite fish would probably have to be, that's a hard question. I would have to go with, that's a toughie. Favorite fish. Probably a sturgeon. I'm going to have to go with a sturgeon. Sturgeon are native around me, but they're very few and far between. And that is one fish that's on my bucket list to go and catch. Big carp fisherman in the States. It's good fun, but I'd say I fish for largemouth the most. Carp, definitely not an answer I was expecting. You know, most people don't like carp. I'm not going to judge you for liking carp, but that's perfectly fine. I could understand why you would like to fish for them. I mean, I've caught carp, and they fight like a son of a bitch. So I could see definitely a good time catching one. But I actually do very little largemouth fishing. All the bass fishing I do is pretty much for smallmouth out of the river, just because I've got a good smallmouth river to fish out of, like 5 minutes from my house. So typically, if I'm bass fishing, it's for smallmouth. And then I'll go to the lake, and when I go to the lake and fish, I just don't catch largemouth out of the lake, so. Alright, and then I'm going to go over to this bottle of super glue and start gluing in the eyelets. Alright. Anybody else? I know everybody else has a favorite fish. It's not just me and Mr. IY. What is your name there, guy? There's a story behind that. There's a meaning behind that, and I don't know what it is. Please tell me what your name means. I want to know your secrets. You can tell me? Tell me what your name is. No? Alright, well, that's fine. If you were sorry, you would not have done it. 12-year-old me thought that was deep, and I have always get a chuckle when people... That's funny. Well, I guess you're right there. If I was sorry, I wouldn't have done it. That sounds like a line your mom would hit you with when you were trying to apologize to get out of trouble for something. And she's like, I know you're not actually sorry because if you were sorry, you wouldn't have done it. I could absolutely see my mom telling little 12-year-old me that when I was growing up for something because I drew on the walls with crayons or something. That's hilarious. So, but for real, like, how do you pronounce that? I was see when it just looks like you mashed the buttons on the keyboard there. Anybody else got anything to add to the conversation? I mean, that's a good looking bait. I really like that color. That's going to look really good with some pearlescent clear coat. I'll probably live stream that process when I do that. I'm getting all these ready to clear coat. So you're what they call a troll in the internet world then. You're just trolling the elderly like me. Is that how you get your sick kicks? Man, I was not expecting this live stream to be like viewed by anybody. What do I clear coat them? Actually, I clear coat them with resin printer UV curable resin. So like the resin that you would put in like a resin printer, like a Saturn V. Not the Saturn V, the Elegant, like the Mars 5. I don't think they're on the Saturn V. But yeah, I clear coat them with resin printer resin. And I hang them up on a piece of fishing string that I strung across the room in my basement. And I replaced the light bulbs in that room with black lights, which are UV lights. And I hang them up there, and they dry pretty slow, but they still do cure. And that's how I do it. And then normally I'll let them cure until they're just a little bit tacky, and then I'll take them out and leave them in the sun for a day, and then that will fully cure the resin. So, and what I'm going to try on these next ones is putting some glitter, flake, and pearlescent powder in with the clear coat. Ah, shit. I'm going to put some pearlescent powder in with the clear coat and see how that comes out. It should come out pretty darn good, I think. But we will see. So, what else you got? Any other questions? I'm gonna wait until I'm out of the wait till I'm out of these line ties, and then I'll be done for the evening. Okay. Man, my fingers are just... Alright. Let's lock and load. Lock and load. There we go. My criteria to determine if I need to switch colors. That's a good question. So generally when I'm fishing, I'm always on the move. And I probably won't spend more than 15 or 20 minutes in one particular spot. And if I'm there for 15 or 20 minutes in one particular spot, that's because it's like a deep hole on the river that I know holds fish. And I'm there for 15 or 20 minutes, and if I don't get anything, I'm on my way further down the river, or further up the river if I'm waiting or something. If I'm on the lake, I got my trolling motor, and I'm casting along the bank, using the trolling motor to just work slowly up and down the bank as I go. So I'm really moving quite a bit when I'm fishing. So I would say that to answer how to know to move spots. If you're sitting just in the same spot constantly the entire time you're fishing, yeah, you're at the mercy of what's in that spot. So you want to expose your lure to as many fish as you can. And the way to do that is just to cover as much water as you can. And then as far as color or lures, color I would say, depending on the water clarity, is how I would judge what color to use. And really, this is going to sound kind of strange to people. I literally color my soft plastics with crayons that I melt in the plastisol. And eventually, when you do that, it looks fine for the first couple melts, and it just all turns like a really pukey brown, grainy brown color. And honestly, the majority of the lures that I fish and catch fish on are that color. Okay? So I really don't believe that the color of the lure makes as big a difference as what some people make it out to be. I think fish are generally attracted to the outline of the bait more so than the fine details of the bait. So if you think about like how fish hunt, they're ambush predators, and a lot of the time they really don't look at something carefully before they strike at it. So if you're working a lure and moving it around, I mean, maybe they come up and they look at it and they really stare at it before they eventually hit it. If it's the fishing's really slow, maybe they'll do that. But most of the time when you're fishing, it's a reactionary strike to the bait. And then to answer the question, to know like what type of lure to use versus another, that's more dependent on the type of structure and the body of water that you're fishing, and also the time of year than anything else. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was you or somebody else who asked, but like what early in the year when there's not as much vegetation in the water, you're better off using a hard bait because you're less likely to snag on all the vegetation, and the fish are probably going to be set up a little bit deeper, and the something like a crankbait that's got the rattles in it, like rattles in it, and has a really more, we'll say, violent action to it than like a soft bait, you're more likely to get a reactionary strike on something like that. And especially when the water's cold, you might be depending more on those reactionary strikes. Because fish a lot of the time don't like to be in warm water. They get pretty lethargic in hot water, the same they get lethargic in cold water. So I'm assuming that answers your question. I feel like that was a pretty thorough answer. What else you got? See, I messed up this one. I think it's still good enough to glue together all the way. What other questions you got for me? This one's kind of messed up already. I'm not going to waste a bunch of time on it. Just want to get through the last of these line ties, and then I'm signing off for the night, I think. All right. Oh man, I might just be done. I think I'm spent. All right. Well, appreciate it. Appreciate all the questions. I'll be doing more of these. This seemed like it was more popular than my normal videos, even. So might just do this. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the questions. Look out for the next one. Have a good one.